With your pistons, rings, and cylinders properly cleaned, it is now time to assemble your piston and cylinder assemblies. Always read the manufacturer provided instructions before assembling your pistons and cylinders. Cylinder bores should have been previously cleaned with denatured alcohol and Kim wipes. Ring gaps also should have been checked and opened up if needed. At this point, you should already have the wire locks installed on one side of your pistons. Before installing them, be sure to check if your rings are directional. Top rings will often have some sort of mark on them to indicate directionality. If a ring is labeled with the word top, that indicates directionality, and not what position on the piston the ring is to be installed. Also, some sets of rings use both top and second ring of the same thickness, so it is important to fit the correct ring to each groove. Rings that are installed with the wrong side up, or in the wrong groove, can lead to high oil consumption, increased blow-by, and cylinder bore scuffing. Lastly, be sure to check the radial back clearance. That can be verified by making sure no part of the inside diameter of the ring is protruding past the ring land. Insufficient back clearance is just as bad as having ring gaps and will lead to engine damage. Most manufacturers recommend the use of a proper ring installation tool, like an expanding ring plier for the top and second piston rings. However, most engine builders choose to walk or spiral the rings onto the pistons by hand, which is the method we will be using. When walking the rings onto the piston rather than using a ring plier, start the ring with one edge, and gently spiral the ring around the piston until it is in its respective groove. Start with the oil control, then proceed with installation of the second, then finally the top piston ring. Care must be taken not to bend, distort, or even break the piston rings, regardless of what method is used. Once the rings are on the pistons, it is important to stagger the end gaps, so they don't line up. Many builders still use band-type or split-style ring compressors. We strongly recommend upgrading to a tapered sleeve compressor. Modern, thinner rings can be tricky, and it is very easy to crack a piston ring during assembly. Using a tapered sleeve ring compressor greatly reduces the likelihood of damaging a piston ring. Loading the piston with rings properly installed into the tapered sleeve compressor is very easy. First, lubricate the piston skirt and rings, then lubricate the inside of the tapered sleeve compressor. You can then push the piston into the tapered sleeve, with the piston skirt hanging out. Cylinder bore should now be lubricated. You can now place the ring compressor onto the top of the cylinder. The exposed piston skirts will slide into the cylinder bore first, helping to guide the piston. You can now push the piston through the tapered sleeve, while simultaneously pushing down on the tapered sleeve itself. If you do not hold the tapered sleeve down, the gap between the tapered sleeve and the cylinder bore may open, and cause the piston ring to catch. If you feel the piston stop hard, that's likely what has happened. Don't worry about restarting the process if you think you messed up. If you have difficulties, another trick is to push the piston through, while alternating between pushing at the top and then bottom of the crown. The idea there is to not have the rings positioned perfectly level as they go from the tapered sleeve to the cylinder bore. With the piston loaded into the cylinder, you are now ready to install the piston and cylinder assembly onto the engine.